Hey, what's up, you guys? I don't know what you guys are doing up at 10:30 at night, but how you doing? I am in my brand new palatious man cave. There's like 26 people on. What are you guys doing? And I finally got everything set up and I'm trying to see if everything's working. So tell me if everything's working. Is it good? I could give you a tour, but I don't think I could take the camera off. Look at all these people. Yes, the Mavs were taking care of business. Uh, this is pretty cool. All right. I had no intention that anybody would be out there. Uh, so hopefully I'm sounding good. I have no idea. I am looking at the comments right now. How am I sounding? It says sounding great. The reason I finally have time to get this set up is recruiting is pretty much over. I'm actually moving on to 2025 and 2026. I've got the women's team is set. Talk about going from the outhouse to the penthouse. That's a story in itself right there, folks. But my guys' team, we set a couple of records this year. And with the addition, I have 7 guys coming in all the way from Hawaii to Staten Island, New York. So quite the geographical spread of players that are making their way to Oklahoma, of all places. So let's see. What's going on out there? You guys tell me. I mean, good grief, there's 34 people on. What is going on? Now, let me say this. All right. Some of you are probably wondering, do I talk to Matt? Yeah, I talked to Matt. We talk a little bit about fishing and a little bit about business and just kind of the direction of the industry a little bit. But to be quite honest with you, I am completely removed for the most part. But let me say this, and I don't know if anybody wants to get into this, but it's quite interesting to get a perspective in this game without being connected to the game. And having not really being involved, especially at the level that I was involved with for so many years, it's quite interesting to just peruse social media and see what's going on. And I got to be honest with you guys, it seems like it's more about controversy and anger and disgust and just trying to stir the pot up, I guess, and people unhappy and this, and I'm not even going to mention it. Let me just say this, all right? I spent, because like I said, I've had some downtime because recruiting is pretty much wrapped up, and I've been working on my palatious man cave here. The wife and I, yes, we did move. We downsized tremendously, but what I did is I picked up space, and my studio shop / bowling ball driller / tackle room actually has a bathroom now. So when we have watch parties over here, you're not going to have to venture into the house to take care of whatever you need to take care of. But getting back, I had some time to go back, not really go back, but just look at a lot of stuff and look at it as an outsider. And not that I am even, and not that I ever was, and I guess what I'm about to say, it may not even be relevant, but I I took a lot of pride in this game. I took a lot of pride in how I wanted to present this game. For all the years that I was involved in showcasing the guys that were trying to make a living professionally doing this game, I really tried to showcase the aspects of the game, because I did this in the beginning for a love of the game. And having been away from it for so long, it's going on 3 years now. I am somewhat, I don't want to say shocked. I'm just somewhat, I don't even know what the word is. Disappointed, maybe, that it seems like, and even though it might be a small portion, and maybe what I read and what I watched and what I perused on social media was something that just was not the way that things used to be. And I know change sometimes is difficult, and change is a big part of everything. And I am a huge proponent of change. But the one thing that shouldn't change about the game, and even fishing in general, is you got to have fun. And you have to truly enjoy and love what you're doing when you're on the water or on the bank or whatever you're doing. You have to love this game. And what I'm seeing in the game in just a short period of time from somebody that's totally removed from the game is a lot of disgust, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of sensationalism, but not truly about the game. Not about fishing. And that is hard for me to understand. It really is. And maybe I'm like I said, maybe this is a totally irrelevant conversation. But I really, really believe that no matter how bad things might seem, or discombobulated, or not going in the direction that you want, you still got to love the game. It's kind of like bowling. I mean, I'm 61 years old. All right. The body is starting to get to a point now where it becomes even more and more difficult to get the body ready to go out and bowl 36 games over 2 days. But I still love the game. And there's a lot of stuff that takes place in the college game. And even though I'm just going into year 2, there's a lot of stuff that takes place in the college game that I don't really agree with. But you know what I do? I play by the rules. And remember what I said years ago. Years ago, I said, and I hated it. Well, we got to grow the sport. We got to grow that. I hated saying that. And I hated for people saying that. But what you have to do is you have to make the sport better. Better. And even though there's things going on in the college game for college bowling that I really am not a fan of, well, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to go on a podcast or do an interview with somebody or go on a rant about why this sucks or this is wrong or that's wrong? No, I am taking a positive route and trying to make things to where it's better for the 3 things that are involved in the game: the student athlete, the schools, and the game itself. Now, am I going to hit roadblocks? Absolutely. But what good does it do for me to gripe and complain about things that truly I cannot control? I can't. I'm dealing with some things right now from an eligibility standpoint that I don't agree with the decision, because one of my players, we're going to have to appeal to get her eligible for next year. I don't agree with the decision, but I have been respectful, and I have done the research and done the work on what I need to do to appeal the decision that was made. And if the decision is made that she's not going to be eligible, okay, you made the decision. Let's move on. Let's work on your game. Let's do what's necessary to make the game better. Better. Not gripe and complain. Now, there's a lot of people on right now, but I see a lot of unhappiness. And sometimes when the dreaded word is a big part of this. You know what that word is? That word is money. And money causes a lot of problems, especially when your livelihood is on the line. And these guys, for a zillion years, have spent a lot of money. Now, there are very few, and I hope people truly understand that there are very few people in the industry that make a comfortable living. Very few. And when I say a comfortable living, I'm talking about a six-figure income where you have benefits and you have some type of retirement fund. Very few. But do you know how many people are trying it? And it's not just in professional fishing. It's in every individual sport that exists. And I feel for the guys out there that are trying to make it, because they're really good and they've had success, but do they have the financial knowledge and the basis of knowing the fiscal responsibility in what they're diving into? So now you've got people out there, and once again, this is an outsider looking in. You've got people out there that are trying to protect their position from a monetary standpoint. And they're doing anything that they can to sustain and protect what they feel that they've earned. And sometimes, at least for what I'm seeing, is I'm seeing people or reading or watching or seeing examples that the money is what's driving what is being pulled away from the game. Where is the love for the game? You know, it's funny. Matt had to use some of the equipment that I had, and I let him use it, and he had to bring it back to me. And it was the first time that he came over to my new setup. And I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it back in there, but there, I got a bunch of stuff up on pegboards. And Matt walks in and he goes, dude, all that stuff is obsolete. And you know what I said to Matt? This is what I said. I said, you know what, man? It doesn't matter to me. Because when I go on the water, I'm doing it because I love the game. Love the game. All right? I want to go out there. If I want to throw a deep diving crankbait, I got plenty of them. All right. If I want to go flip the bushes because the water's up, I got plenty of stuff to flip with. But that essence of not knowing what you're going to catch, that's why I love the game. It's like you against the fish. It's you against the fish. It's not you against your competitor or whoever. I don't even think about competing except for one thing. It's me against that fish. And hopefully, I can figure it out. And that's part of the fun. But when you take it at the level, where livelihoods are on the line, that's when things start to develop. And that's when there is a loss for the game. I would love to just talk to a few guys now and just ask them, how much do you love this game, man? How much has it just turned into a job? It's just a job. Now, granted, over a period of time, there's been plenty of guys sleeping in their trucks, using every resource that they have to come into play to be able to do this game because they love to fish. I'm not taking that away from those guys, but it seems like now, at least for what I'm seeing and reading and listening to, sparingly, once again, and what I'm saying may be totally irrelevant, but things are getting to the point where the love of the game is totally gone. It's totally gone. At least from what I'm seeing. Me and a friend of mine, we went to Lake Texoma, and Texoma's up right now because of all the rain that we've had in Oklahoma. And this is somebody that I used to work with at UPS. We've been friends forever. And it was just so much fun just to spend 10 hours on the water talking about stories and ripping fish out of the bushes and not worrying about anything else. It's that love of the game. Am I wrong? You guys tell me. I'm out of the loop. I love being on the water. And I love doing what I'm doing. And I love using the stuff that I have on my wall. And if I don't catch one single fish, by gosh, I am enjoying it. You know why? Because it's not about the money. Now it is about surviving. It's about surviving. And, I could go on and on about the business side of it. I just, this is not what I intended to do. I just wanted to test that. But man, I had some time yesterday and today, hockey puck, and I looked at some things and I talked to a couple of friends of mine, and it just seems like a lot of disgust, anger, sensationalism, trying to profitize drama. And for those that remember, the premise that I built this thing on many years ago was it's not about what I think or what Matt thought, or it's what went down from a journalistic perspective. And I think there is a tremendous amount of journalistic loss in the noise that is created through the drama. And I'm not saying that people aren't allowed an opinion. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the utilization of being on common ground to accomplish whatever business that you're involved in makes all parties involved better. And from what I'm reading and what I'm watching and listening to, there's a lot of disconnect right now. And I don't know. I hope some of my friends that are still out there are doing what's necessary to survive, because I think that it is a matter of survival now. I was astonished by the number of people out there that have podcasts and doing all the video stuff. I mean, I know the video stuff's been around for a while, but the essence of what this game should be based upon is the vast majority, because when you look at it, think about all the people across the nation that fish, how many truly earn a living? And I'm not talking about guides and stuff. How many truly earn a living fishing professionally compared to everybody out there that fishes? I don't know. Do I miss it? Absolutely. Am I glad that I departed when I did? It was definitely the right time. And I think it's a matter of saturation now. And what guys and girls do that fish is really going to determine those people, which ends up being the inline consumer, is going to determine what direction that this thing goes. There's a zillion comments out there. I haven't even been able to try and read them. But I miss it. I do. It was funny. If you know who the Savannah Bananas are, minor league baseball team in Savannah, Georgia, they travel around the country. They're kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters, bad comparison maybe, but there's a lot of scripted stuff that takes place when they play. Anyway, they were in Oklahoma City. And like I told you, we went to Lake Texoma, and before I went to Lake Texoma, I had to go to Bass Pro Shops downtown Oklahoma City because one of the straps on my boat to strap down my rods broke, and that was the only place I knew that I could get one. So I get down there, and I had no idea that the Savannah Bananas were in town. And I get down there, and it's just chaos. And I pull in the Bass Pro Shops parking lot, and there's no place to park. There's not a single parking spot. So I find a spot where somebody's actually leaving, and I park and I go inside. Folks, this place was an absolute ghost town. Ghost town. I counted 5 people. I was in there for probably 30 minutes. 5 people. That's it. And I look around and I think about the overhead this place has. And granted, I understand Johnny Morris is a billionaire, and that may not be the case on Spring Fling weekend or whatever they had. But I just kind of thought, wow. Now I know all the attention was on the Savannah Bananas, but still. So when I went to check out, I asked the dude that took my money, I was like, man, there's nobody in here. And he goes, yeah, it's pretty much the way that it is. Now, here we are in the middle of May. I mean, kind of post-spawn, post-spring. I was like, is this place ever crowded? And he goes, no, not really. I was like, why? Kid looked at me and he goes, I don't know. Why? Why is that? Is it because everybody's buying stuff online? I mean, we've had that discussion a zillion times. Why is that? I was thoroughly blown away by that. Are people spending money? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not around it, but I was totally caught off guard by only seeing 5 people in there. Still trying to figure out why is that? Why is that? And I some of you guys may know. I mean, I fish out of a 2007 ProCraft. Some of you guys may not even realize what a ProCraft is, but ProCraft was actually built by Bass Pro Shops for a period of time. Tim Horton used to run a ProCraft. There was a couple of guys. There was a period of time there that a lot of guys from Missouri actually ran ProCrafts. Anyway, but it's a 20.5 foot solid low hours that I bought from a friend of mine. And, it catches fish pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I had, all the bells and whistles on it, if I'd catch any more fish, but you know what? Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter. I'm having a blast when I get on the water, and I'm starting to get on the water a little bit more. Is that lost? Is that something that is just being lost? Is there so much focus on tournament fishing that people just don't go fishing anymore? And I never really realized that when I was totally entrenched in the industry. Is there a lot of people out there that just go fish and have fun and enjoy it? There's somebody saying Bass Pro Shops empty quite a bit. I don't know, but that is a lot of expense. A ton of expense. But am I don't want to say saddened. Maybe that's not right. Not even disappointed. It's just everybody uses the term old school, new school, the new ways, change, and all that. That's just part of the evolving way of any sport gets to one point to another. But to capitalize from a sensationalism perspective and actually kind of profit from something that really, when you really get down to it, it really has nothing to do with the game. It just kind of surprises me. But I know people love drama and people want the train wreck and people want to rubberneck and do everything like that. It's just, it seems like to me, and I tried to find it, and for those that may have watched over the years, I mean, me and Jay Kumar really did not have the best friendship, but I think that we reconciled toward the end of what I was doing. And the stuff that Jay does is very educational. And maybe, I mean, you guys tell me, maybe nobody cares what people catch them on. in the tournaments anymore. It doesn't even matter. Because that used to be the biggest thing in the game was what'd you catch them on? What'd you use to win? You know, is it because everybody's winning money on the same exact thing, doing the same thing over and over and over? Well, if that's the case, is that going to have an impact in tackle sales? Because the only thing people are buying are stuff that's associated with how the guys that are catching them now, and it seems to only be one kind of way. When's the last time somebody won something on a frog? In fact, when's the last time that anybody's caught a fish on a frog? We caught them pretty good on a frog. That's why I mentioned that. I love fishing a frog. All right. And then obviously, I'm looking around. I don't have any here. Obviously, topwater. And it is topwater time, and everybody knows that about me. But Matt Ellis, he caught one on a frog today. Andrew, right now, he's catching them on a frog at night. Jordan Lee catching them on a frog. You know, I have caught a little bit of some of this stuff on TV, and, you know, I kind of is what it is. I think there's a lot more, I don't know what you call it, fluff. There's a lot more to see, but it seems like to me everybody's doing the same thing. So better that you can showcase what you got, I guess, in the ways that technology has advanced. So I don't know, man. I did not mean to go on a tangent, but it's just one of those things. Let me see. Man, there's a ton of comments. I don't know. You know, let me take the glasses off and see if I can read it. Fishing with the Bobber wants to know, do you watch the Open Pro Pick'em shows, and what do you think about the way the guys pick on Panger? Well, here, let me see if I remember how to put this up. Show? Is that it? Okay, it showed up. No, I've never watched one. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. And I didn't know anybody was picking on Panger. I had no idea. So I'm no help on that one. Sorry. Let's see here. Well, see, I haven't mentioned this word. Let me show this. Forward facing has put a void between the professionals and the everyday angler. The NFL is so popular because so many fans can relate to their days playing ball. Fishing is totally different now. Jeff, that's an interesting take. And from what I've seen and what I've read and listened to a little bit, I see your point. And I'm really curious what people would think about the television shows, because for the most part, you're just looking at the guy stare at a screen all day. And I get what Matt was saying when he walked in here, and all the stuff that's over my shoulder, he said, is obsolete. Well, once again, I mean, these guys got to earn a living, and they got to do whatever they've got to do. And somebody asked me if I tried it. Yeah, I've tried it. It's not easy. You know, you gotta be really good, and got to spend a lot of time on the water. And quite honestly, like I said earlier, I would rather throw a frog or flip a bush and, you know, conquer the unknown, not what I'm seeing on a screen. But I don't have to do it to make money. And these guys have to earn a living. So, not good things about some of the shows here. Let's see here. Any other comments? Let's see what this says. Personally, I love and would want to see I wouldn't want to see tournaments without it now. The disclosure for and against is terrible. I blame Randy. I'm assuming that you're talking about Randy Blockett, and I mean, I haven't watched any of his stuff for years, but I venture to guess I know exactly what he's doing, and probably doing the same thing he was doing when I was well aware and watching his stuff 2-3 years ago. I don't know. It's weird. What's the right thing? I don't know. I kind of believe that there are certain things in certain sports that if you try to play the game at the top level, you should not, or the organizations do not allow certain things that would give you a competitive advantage. In other words, it seems to me that in all other individual sports, they try to level the playing field to where the better performer, the better athlete rises to the top based upon their ability, not based upon their equipment. I mean, I know, obviously, I'm familiar with what takes place in bowling, and there are certain bowling balls that are not allowed, that the PBA said, no, can't use that, because the technology has gotten so much better that it actually gives players an advantage to use certain bowling balls. I don't know. It would be interesting to see. I would like to see it both ways. And I know that's kind of a cop-out, but I would like to see tournaments that allow forward-facing sonar. But then I would also like to see tournaments where you can't use it. Because I think that there is a necessity to realize there's more to this game than just forward-facing sonar. Maybe I'm wrong, but I still love the game, and I still love everything about it. I would still like to see guys go out and, get on a ledge and not see what they're actually throwing at and do all the work and not get any info and kind of old school it, find it, catch it, mark it, repeat it. To me, that's still, once again, I'm dating myself, but to me, that's still an interest. Can I watch the guys do forward-facing sonar? Yeah, I watch it for a little bit. Like I said, I've tried it. It's not easy. It's really not. But I don't think anything's going to be done about it. I think I was talking to a guy that actually fishes that I bowl with in summer league that I bowl in, and he was talking about it. Yeah. Jim G, here, let me throw this up. Don't the bowling lane have to be a certain size and polish? Well, the answer to that is every single bowling lane is the same length and same width. But just like a golf course, you can change the green and you can change the rough and you can change the fairway based upon the height. You can make greens super, super fast. You make them super, super slow. You can do the same thing on a lane based upon how you put the oil on the pattern. So, yeah, let me see this. We are a sport with a wild animal. We are not like any other sport. I get that statement, but at the same time, There's a lot of similarities from the nuts and bolts. Not necessarily of the activity, but from a structure and from a guideline standpoint, there is a lot of similarities in that. Let's see. What is this? Wait, hang on. What is it? This guy says the equipment you use, though, doesn't change. Oh, it changes all the time. I mean, I don't know if you can see it right there. There's about 35, 40 different bowling balls. The equipment changes constantly. And the reason the equipment changes is kind of like, let's say you're on a topwater pattern and then all of a sudden the topwater pattern goes away. Well, you're going to continue to throw a topwater all day long? I don't think so. You might. Heck, you may catch 25 pounds doing it. But most likely, when you go 30, 45 minutes and you never get a blast on, you're probably going to switch it up and change. Let's see what this one is. It's a long one. There's no data going to bring knowing the fish natural because it said here. You don't have to scrub everything. Okay. Yeah. Okay, what is he saying here? Nah, I'm saying the playing field is still a rod, a reel, and a line in the lures. I don't count as an advantage. Yeah. You know, here's the other thing is they haven't told anybody that you can't use anything, well, except the Alabama rig. Is that still a thing? You know, and how are the organizations going to challenge or not challenge, but the challenge that they have, how are they going to deal with it? They're going to do anything. I'm kind of intrigued with that situation of seeing whether or not the organizations do anything. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think they should? Yeah, double fluke. Yeah. Matt, interesting point here. Might as well throw the A-rig. Oh. It's interesting. Let me see. Let me back up to some of the... This isn't... Let's see. Throw this one up there. MJ agreed. It's very diluted. The people are willing to pay whatever and go backwards in the pocket just to have it or be a part of it when it's totally not necessary. The sport is killing itself. Huh. You know, I remember it was a few months ago I was on Ken Duke's show, and the question was, who controls the narrative? And my premise was the consumer. And I mean, I firmly believe that and will argue that point with anybody, because what's going to happen to forward-facing sonar if all of a sudden the consumer says, nah, I don't care what they're using, I'm not buying it? What will happen to the price? You guys tell me. If the consumer says, I'm not paying that much, I'm not buying it, well, what's going to happen to the price? Anyone? Bueller? I'm waiting. Nobody's going to answer me? Oh, Sean. Then the price goes down. Exactly. So I really, really believe that the consumer does control the narrative. You know, and it doesn't matter. It goes with anything. Then you end up with stuff on clearance, and the consumer gets a good deal out of it. But the consumer controls that narrative. Yep, hits the discount rack. Yes, it does. Gonna drop like a rock, Chris. Yep. I mean, we see that. You know, I am amazed at the price of a bass boat now. It's crazy. Crazy. Never thought I'd see it. Never thought I'd see it at all. All right, here. MJ says, I bet they do some mild restrictions. Won't change anything. I'd like to see one forward-facing sonar and 48 inches total screen allowed. I think that seems to be the consensus of a lot of people. What is this? Let me throw this up here. How many people are buying Fujita's $1,200 scoping rod? $1,200? Are you kidding me? Wow. Let's see. Imagine navigating a lake and not knowing where there's a sunken island in the middle. Yeah. Yeah, I look at them online and then I just feel like my dreams get crushed. Yeah. It's funny. I'm still heavily connected and follow the financial world. And for those that don't, I mean, the stock market is at record highs. And the Dow actually surpassed 40,000 for the first time. I don't know. I think it might have dropped down today. But just incredible gains in the stock market here lately, really over the past 24 months. And it seems like the people that have money are spending the money. But who's getting pinched are the people that rely heavily upon debt. And, you know, we're going to see where that takes us, obviously, with interest rates. And I did not want to get into a school lecture. Good grief. I'd much rather talk about catching them on a deep crankbait. By the way, I did see Frank. I went to Cleveland. I had a recruiting event in Cleveland, and my wife and I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which, if anybody hasn't been there, it's a must. They have some really, really cool things there. And me kind of being a music guy, it was neat to see some of the artifacts that they have in Cleveland. But we went out to dinner. Frank and his wife had an absolute great time. And, man, I'm so happy for Frank. And I hope day 4 continues. I hope everybody continues to give Frank the respect that guy deserves, because he's had a very, very long career and very instrumental in a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's taken place over the years. And that's one of the best decisions that I've ever done, was get Frank involved with BTL. So I hope that is continuing to go well. I haven't listened to a show, but Frank is great for the industry, and Frank is great for the fans. This is an interesting question. Do you think our currency will eventually crash? I have no way of knowing that, but the only thing I'll say on that is the national debt has never been as high as it is today. And if that doesn't get under control, for people like me, it's not going to be a big deal, because obviously of my age and, you know, what I've done through my career. But like I'm getting ready to be a grandfather. My oldest son and his wife are having a baby in August. You know, his child I'm concerned about the financial shape that things are in, because you can't continue to print money. You just can't. It's not a good thing. One of the coolest things that I saw at the Hall of Fame was, and I don't know how many people know who Jim Morrison is or the Doors, but they have Jim Morrison's diploma. He actually graduated from college in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they made a movie about the Doors, I think back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, I think. And they don't ever mention anything that I could recall that Jim Morrison ended up graduating. But his diploma is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then they had the actual piece of paper that Metallica's Enter Sandman, where the lyrics were wrote on. And they had that for a lot of the artists, where they just wrote it on a napkin or a flyer or something, and they ended up throwing it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you're ever in Cleveland, I'm telling you, besides meeting Frank, that is a must. Sean, super cool. Yes, it is. It was, I could have spent all day in there. That's how cool it was. Sean, they're going to keep printing money, man, but they're not going to send it to you. Sorry. I'm glad I'm seeing comments about Frank. Yeah, Frank's a good dude, man. And he works his tail off. Here's an interesting. Mark, weren't you supposed to talk at Ike's introduction? How did that go? Yeah, that was there's a fly or something in here. That was a uncomfortable situation because nobody really knew what was going on. Ike was somewhat surprised, and it was a complete lack of communication. So what Matt ended up doing, and I don't know if you caught it, Matt actually had me and Ike on the show, and I talked about how I was going to present, and I actually talked about some of the stories that I was going to talk about. It was reduced down, but since we did it on BTL, I elaborated on a lot of the stuff that Mike, and you guys may not realize it, Mike and I go way back. In fact, hang on a second. I don't see it, but I during the move, I found a picture that somebody took of when I was interviewing Mike the year he won the Bassmaster Classic. And I looked a lot younger, and Mike looked a lot younger, and I took a picture of it, and I sent it to Mike, and I was like, dude, we go way back. And it's been well documented. You know, Mike was going through a lot, and he was actually going to quit. That was going to be his last event. And he ended up winning the Classic. You know, in one of the most iconic moments, at least from the early years of what was going down. But he was really, really struggling. He had a lot of personal stuff going on in his life, and it was a very memorable interview for me to interviewing during that Classic. And it's weird, man. I have so many memories and so many moments that will always be with me. And it, it goes back. It goes back to loving the game. You know, it's just when I reflect sometimes and I see what is taking place today, I think about the enjoyment of showcasing what these guys were doing. And that's what it was about for me. You know, it was weird. One of the memories that I have, and there's a zillion of them, but I remember I was by myself and I was covering the Elite Series event at the Potomac. And I decided that year, and I don't even remember what year it was. I think it was the year Kelly Jordan did real well. He might have won that one. I can't remember. But I had made the decision that I was going to do a video wrap up at the end of the day. And this was way before anybody was doing any video stuff. YouTube wasn't even around then. It was you made the video and you had to have some type of video software to where you could actually embed the coding in the website. So I made the decision that I was going to do that year. And I was standing on the shore of the Potomac and there was nobody around. And, you know, that iconic bridge in Washington, D.C. was behind, and it was packed with traffic. And it took me like 12 takes to get the report done. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? 12 takes, 12, a dozen, because I wanted it to be right. And man, so many of those crazy, crazy nights. I remember one time, it was one of the classics that was at Orlando. I had technology issues. It was crazy. And I was up for 38 straight hours. Did not sleep. But I got it to work. And I actually had 3 guys helping me. Matt wasn't there. It was a guy by the name of Brent Conway and a guy by the name of Keith Blackstone. And they went to sleep. And I was sitting there trying to figure out why this video thing wouldn't work. So this right here, let me throw this one up. This is an interesting comment. At what point do you see the elite of the sport no longer paying entry fees? And the reason I put that up is there's something next year in the professional sport of bowling. You know, everything falls back to bowling. No, I'm just kidding. For the first time in the history of the PBA, the 64 exempt players do not have to pay an entry fee. No entry fees. And they have reduced the field down to 64 bowlers. But besides their hotel and meals and travel, they have no entry fees. And typically the entry fee, I think, was like $800. Now, obviously, it's not $5,500 like what the elite guys pay. Do I ever see that going away? Not in my lifetime. You know, but I may only be alive for another 10 years, hopefully longer. But I don't know how they're going to generate the amount of revenue necessary to have no entry fees, because you only have X amount of dollars that is going to be supported from the endemics and the new non-endemics that come around. And listen, you can see a pattern. You know, even though it's 2024, you can see a pattern from the non-endemics. There are very few non-endemics that have been in it longer than 10 years. Can anybody give me one? I mean, there's one obvious one. I'll get to that one. Sean, you're right. That is the obvious one. Toyota. Can you imagine what the sport would be like if Toyota all of a sudden decided, we're done? I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember the scramble that Bass was in when Chevy pulled. Chevy was like, no, we're not doing it anymore. I mean, they used to have a Chevy truck for every single boat in the Bassmaster Classic. And yeah, granted, that was back when the guys fished out of all the same Ranger boats and they had all the tackle limitations on there. Sean, General Tires, yeah, on the MLF side, definitely. They've been around for a while, but I think Toyota might be the longest standing non-endemic in either organization. It's not Subway. Mountain Dew, no. That was some cool times, back in the Crown Royal days. You had an entire team. And then there was a dealership in Arkansas that supplied anglers like Mark Davis, Jay Yellis. There were there was about 12 guys. It was Landers. That was the name of the dealership from Arkansas that supplied vehicles to all these guys that were out on tour and a lot of the Crown Royal guys. Camel, no. Let's see here. There was one question. Mountain Dew. Oh, here it is right here. Hang on. Real hard question here, Mark. Can you taste anything yet? No, I cannot. I still can't smell or taste anything, which is weird. And I don't know. Everything's just filler. It's all about, I call it crunch chewy. Crunch chewy is the best, where it's crunchy and chewy at the same time. But in case you don't know, during my accident, what was it, 3-4 years ago, hit my head, destroyed my nerves in my head. Can't smell or taste anything. Yeah, Walmart. Walmart was in there a long time. Quaker Oil was in there for a while. I don't think they're. Let's see here. I'm looking at the. Let's see here. Mountain Dew. I think I mentioned that. I think General Tire's still in. I don't know. Yeah, they got to be in. Didn't they do the what was it? The team thing that MLF did? Here. Do I have a social media page? No, I do not. That is very cumbersome, and it's like one of those things. Now, I do the social page for SNU Bowling, but that's all about kids, the kids and the players and what they're doing and what we're involved with and all that. Oh, Kmart and Citgo. Those were two epic companies back in the 70s and in the 80s. Yeah, Chris, you're right. It's gone forever. Not coming back. Kyle Patrick was a financial advisor before being a fish. I think you meant fisherman, not fish. Really? Okay, hang on a second here. That was the wrong one. Really, this is news to me. Kyle Patrick pulled a Morgan Stanley sponsorship this year. Now, this is what a lot of people don't realize, that with some of these sponsorships with big name companies, a lot of, and I'm just going to use Morgan Stanley as an example, a lot of these smaller entities are actually extensions of the corporate. They're not really franchise. In some situations, they are franchise. But a lot of times, it's an opportunity for guys to take advantage of co-op money that a lot of the local offices that are branded with the corporate name, they will actually supply these extended spokes of their corporate brand co-op money. And a lot of the a lot of the anglers and other athletes are actually able to pull co-op money. Let's see here. Yeah. Family friend. Somebody's saying that. Bowling question. How often are you doing in-game coaching, or is it mostly coaching in prep like a golf swing coach? Well, thanks for asking. Part of the reason why I've been able to get a lot of the players, the caliber of player that I've been able to get, is because I'm different. And I tell a recruit when I approach them first, I'm like, dude, all right, I'm not a bowling coach. I'm a coach that knows a lot about bowling. And I think there's a huge difference there, because there's a lot of guys that bowl and they think just because they can bowl that they can coach. So then they get into coaching, and their coaching is all related to bowling. It's not constructed and, showing attributes of what the total package of coaching is like. So I ask a lot of questions. I don't tell players what to do, because players know their game better than anybody. But it's my responsibility to get them prepared for whatever event that they're getting ready to go to battle in. And am I a player's coach? Absolutely. Do I tell them what to do? Absolutely not. Do I point them in the right direction? Yes, I do. It's funny. Here, I'm going to give a fishing example on this. Okay. In bowling, when the television show's going on, these are the greatest players in the world. And they have these individuals called ball reps. So basically, the bowling ball company has a man or a woman that is with these guys all during the week, and they help them out all during the week. Well, here they are, greatest bowlers in the world, and they're on television. When they throw a bad shot or they don't strike, when they're walking back, the first thing they do is they look at their ball rep. And I'm like, dude, you're one of the greatest players in the world. Can you not make a decision on your own? All right. Can you imagine in an elite series and a guy's not making the right move, or he's not doing whatever he needs to be doing the right way, and there about 10 yards away is another boat with his lure rep saying, hey, man, you need to be doing this, switch to that. I mean, come on. That's crazy. So what I do as a coach is I ask a lot of questions, because they're never going to learn if they don't experience and battle through adversity that they're going to have during practice. So can you imagine that if you had lure reps on the water while the events were taking place? Would that not be crazy? Dude's casting away. Forget about the forward-facing sonar bit. Maybe he's doing that. Maybe he's not casting away. He's got nothing. All of a sudden, he looks over at his lure rep. Dude, what do I do? And then the lure rep tells him what to do. Come on. Jeez. You got to learn from experience, man. This is interesting here. Do you guys really miss me? I greatly appreciate that, but I don't know if BTL After Dark would even work. Like I said, I have really, really enjoyed being away from it. But I'm going to be honest with you, I've enjoyed the last couple of days, because I've kind of had a couple of off days to be able to dive into a lot of stuff. And kind of what I talked about at the beginning of this so-called test was what I've read and watched and listened to, over the past couple of days. This is what I miss. And quite honestly, this is an idea that I threw out to Matt. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't even know if he's going to do it. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything that I say. It's his gig. But you guys tell me right now, if I did decide to do this maybe once a month, I don't know, once every couple months, just it becomes more of a time thing. Would it be cool if I sent or posted the video link, and then all you got to do is click on the link and you guys could become part of the show? Is that a good idea? Because quite honestly, I produce everything. I'd control it if you weren't part of it. It's okay. But if you wanted to engage, it kind of takes away the whole phone call. I mean, why use the phone call? Because you can actually, you could be a part of the show from your phone. You just got to use something. Would that be cool? Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. Oh, here, let me grab this. Hang on. I did. Okay, check this out. These are two things that I found when I moved. Look at the youngness of that right there. Can you guys see it? I don't know if you can see it good. Who is that? That is hang on, I got to hold it steady. That is a young Mark Jeffries, a young Mark Zona, and a young Kevin Van Dam. And we actually did a charity event at Table Rock Lake, and the other guy that's on there is named Steve Zabina. He was a longtime friend of mine who at the time he worked for Ebonite International, and he's still involved in the bowling industry. But seeing Zona and Van Dam bowl was hilarious. Zona could actually bowl a little bit. Kevin, he was okay, but he needed to stick with the crankbait more than the bowling ball. And then I found this. There's some crazy ads in here. This is from, what year is this? Some of you may not even know of this magazine. It's called Bass West. Wow. Let me put the glasses back on. June of 2007. So what is that, 17 years ago? You guys probably know Dan O'Sullivan. He actually did a story. Look at this. Yeah, that was me. Look at that. Headset, camera, laptop, fishing rod. That was pretty cool. Man, I looked young then. Look at that was page 2. Do they still have this? This is unrelated. Anybody know? The Snag Proof. The Snag. Hang on, I can't get right there. The Snag Proof Open. Do they still have that? Let's see if there's some other remarkable advertisements in this magazine. Bass Tricks. Look at this. The #1 bait in the country. Bass tricks. That was epic. And here's a story. Look at that. Power versus finesse. Is power fishing even around anymore? You guys tell me. Let's see here. The Fishin' Magician Tackle Company. Oh, this is dated. Let's see. Learning to flip and pitch is a must. Not so much anymore. Anyway, when you move like that, man, you find all kinds of stuff. So it was cool to run across that. I'm headed to Detroit the first weekend of August for a recruiting event. High school bowling in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana is insane. And they're having a huge recruiting event in Michigan. And if Zona's schedule works out, we're actually gonna try and get out and do a little fishing. Have some fun. Let's see here. I'm looking at the fishing for opinions. I don't know. Anybody want to test out the link? I don't even know if I can. Can I go back? Oh, yeah, I can. Who wants the link? Let's see if this works. Let's see. If I post it here. Now, remember, if you do it on your phone, oh, I got to get rid of this. Hang on. If you do it with your phone, you got to use Safari. Then I'll have to put the headsets on because that's the only way I can hear you. And hopefully the headsets work. And if you say anything bad, I'll just cut you off. Throw you out. You guys like the jerseys? Yeah, all those jerseys are when I played in the men's league. And men's league went by color. And, we'd all talk about what team we'd want to be based upon the color of the jersey. Then we'd go beat up each other. Oh, all right. Somebody wants to talk a little hoop. Hey, man, I'm still pulling for the Celtics. We'll see. I do like, here, I'm going to throw this up. Timberwolves. I am a Timberwolves fan. I like what they're doing. It's just, man, sometimes, I watched the end of the Dallas-Oklahoma City game, and they just gave the ball to Luka, and he just said, here, I'm going to go to work. I mean, there was no strategy. There was nothing. It was, give me the ball. Let me get to the rack. That was it. All right, I'm not seeing anybody yet. Is anybody going to try that to see if this works? We're testing. I was testing from the start, and here it is past midnight. I'm still talking. And there's still a few people. What other questions you want to ask me? Let's see here. Hang on. It's the problem, too, in fishing or any other sport that one forgets the wider world that exists outside of it. It's funny. That is a great comment because once again, being removed from it, you kind of see that nobody else really knows what's going on. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody discusses it. I mean, I cross paths with a wide variety of socioeconomic people, and never really gets brought up. I've mentioned multiple times about the Bass iconic logo being on the backs of trucks and Suburbans and stuff like that. You never see it. I don't know. Is it relevant? Once again, that's the question. Uh-oh. We got Jim. Okay, let me put the headset on. Hopefully the headsets work. Jim.
How you doing?
All right. This is good because it's proving to me that this will work. Dude, it's midnight. Where are you at?
I'm in Colorado.
Okay, so it's not midnight yet.
No, not quite. I was just doing research on a lake that we're going to this weekend.
I got you. Now, I have a recruit, 2024. He's already signed. Incredible player from Greeley, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far that is from you. And then I have one of the top players in the class of 2025 who's from Colorado Springs, has already made a campus visit and has said that we are at the top of his list. So Colorado being very, very good to me on the bowling side.
Very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good bowling lanes here. My son bowls. He's in a league.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is he in school?
No, he's already graduated from high school. He's 25 and this is his first year in a bowling league and he likes it. He's getting much better.
Nice. So you're doing research. Is this a typical thing for you with an event coming up?
Yeah, so this is for Colorado. It's the Pikes Peak Bassmasters, and we go to John Martin Reservoir this weekend.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, somebody reminded me it's only 10:12 on the West Coast, so
it's 11:12 my time.
Yeah, you're on Mountain Time.
Yeah, Mountain
Time. So was it easy to just copy that link, click that link in and get after it?
Yeah, I was on my Samsung phone first.
Okay.
And then when you mentioned the Safari, I had to get on my tablet.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason with iPhones, like your Samsung phone, I don't know what the default browser is on that because I don't have an Android phone. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea. Oh, look, we got somebody else here. Let's bring somebody else in. Okay, Bob. Bob, what's happening?
What's happening? How are you tonight?
Where are you, Bob?
I'm in Texas.
Texas, home of the lake that everybody is talking about. See, me even being removed from it. I get a phone call from a guy that I used to fish team tournaments with 10 years ago. He's like, hey, I know you're retired now, or you're doing the bowling thing. You got to go with me to this brand new lake that they just opened up. I don't even know what it's called. It's by Lake Fork, though, right? What's it called?
Boy Dark?
Boys the Ark?
Boys Dark. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's yes.
Okay, have you been there yet?
I have not. I am kind of the opposite side. I'm south of Fort Worth in Burleson.
Okay.
But no, I have not been up there. I've seen some videos, some YouTube shows on it. Looks like you can do a lot of flipping and pitching in some bushes up there. So
yeah,
it looks like a lot of fun.
So right now it's take a number though. From what I understand, it's like you can make a pitch or a flip to the guy right next to you.
Yeah, just don't land in his boat.
Okay, hang on. Somebody, Bodark? Hang it. This is a great name here. Maximus Klein.
Pronounced Bodark.
Bodark. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So I guess every single person except you in Texas has been there.
That's right,
Bob.
I fish the pond in my neighborhood. That's where I'm fishing
That's
now.
okay.
I've got an 8 and 9-year-old son and daughter, and so we do some brew fishing with some worms.
Okay. So do you do voiceovers for infomercials? Because you got that kind of voice, man.
I do not, but I should get into it.
You got that voice. All right. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jim. What are you doing up so late at midnight watching me? I'm irrelevant.
I was actually watching the Zaldane podcast with Jacob Faust, and then it popped up that you were going live. So
Yeah, but you thought it was Matt, though. Did you not?
No, because I think the title came up and it said it was you. And
so that's right. I put in there, hey, Mark's making a test.
I'm jumping on here.
Like
Right. So now I've been on for over an hour and a half, or whatever
Thanks,
it
man.
is. And,
Thanks, man.
Super excited. Yeah, this is great.
All right, cool. All right, I'm going to ask both of you one question, and then you can ask me anything you want. All right, Jim first. If there was one thing that you would change about professional bass fishing, what would it be?
Good question.
Now I'm going to ask you a different question.
I
Bob.
think I would change the payout as far as everybody getting paid. I think everybody should get a paycheck of some sort.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in bowling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I talked about that earlier. But that would be nice. It's unheard of. Can you imagine? It was funny when I was moving. I found some old stuff from my mom and dad. I found a pay stub from my dad. All right, it was 1970. So what is that? Quick math. 54 years ago.
Yeah.
1970. He was making $12 an hour. Which I had to think a minute. I was like, okay, 1970, $12 an hour.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. And he brought home $319.64. And I looked at that and I thought, man, what do people do now if their take home is only $300 and whatever $64? They can't survive. Can't survive. But it was a pretty good little chunk of change there for a minute. You know what else I found? Oh, let me get it here. This right here. This is I'm actually going to get this framed. Okay? And it was in a bunch of stuff that my mom had. And it's dated, I got to make sure I got the right one. Yeah, it's dated May 20th, 1972. So 52 years ago. This is my first league sheet I ever had as a bowler. And my average was 156.
Well, when I go bowling, my goal is to get 100. So if you're above that, that's pretty good.
But get this, there were 24 people in this league, and I was high average at 156.
Yeah.
So that is getting framed. That is epic. I could not believe I came across that.
Should already be at least laminated.
Yeah, I gotta get that one framed. All right, here's your question, Bob.
Yes.
If there was one lure besides the A-rig that needs to be banned in professional fishing, what would you ban?
Ooh, that's a really good one. So
that's why I did this for a long time.
Like Panger, I am a drop shot guy. And so Louisiana, just moved over here 2 years ago, and that was so finesse, I'm all for. Man, if we had to ban something, I would actually like to bring the A-rig back and allow it.
Oh, he's gonna deban.
I'm gonna deban it if we're gonna make
I like that. I like that.
I would like to see. I mean, yes, it did really well out the jump, but like in some of these other, like Texas Team Trail, I think it's allowed, and I don't know that it's dominating. I don't know that people are just wrecking shop with it, but you know, I feel like that. But man, is there something that just gives everyone an unfair advantage, a lure out there?
No. Make look at this. Here, I gotta put this up. Let me flash this up here. Make the A-rig great again.
You need to make a T-shirt. Yes. T-shirt needs to be sold with that on it.
That is impressive right there. If anything comes from this show tonight, that's one thing right there that needs to happen. So if anybody's got I would love to get a T-shirt. That's hilarious. Okay, so I like that. Here, let me just address this one real quick. More on the water fights and more on the water drama for clicks. This ain't a gentleman's sport anymore, clearly. Well, let me just say this, all right? There were fights on the water back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. That's something that's never gone away. What wasn't present when all that was taking place was the sensationalism and the driven dollar based upon creating an income stream based upon drama. Because now you could get paid for creating drama. That kind of touches on what I talked about earlier, where the true journalistic approach to this game is being lost because of the sensationalism of something that truly doesn't make the fan a better angler. How does that drama make either one of you a better angler?
It doesn't. I think, not scientifically speaking, but in my opinion, like social media has, I have small children, 8 and 9 years old, like I said.
Yeah.
I'm not letting them get on social media for as long as I can hold them off of it, because maybe some online bullying or whatever, but I think the same thing is happening to the adults now, that we can't stay away from that sensationalism of this fight or this negative thought or this, whatever it is. You get sucked into that, and then everyone just starts getting in a bad mood. And I mean, all the podcasts right now is like everyone on the Elite Series is just upset and hating life or whatever. And you shouldn't be. Like, you are you're fishing. Let's and I think, I do think some of that is driven by, having a social media and instant access to that stuff as soon as it happens in live time.
I'm telling you, part of the reason why it's done is because sensationalism sells.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because the true perspective of what the fan that loves this game really wants to learn is more from an experience standpoint and an educational standpoint. But what happens is sensationalism sells. And there are people out there that are profiting, and it's not just fishing, it's everything. They're profiting from positioning sensationalism. And, I think it's kind of a travesty that our game that I truly, truly love and love for a zillion years has gotten to the point from a journalistic perspective that it is drama and upsetness and bickering and fighting and being unhappy. You know what? There's a word out there, and the word is choice. And if you don't like it,
that's right,
you have a choice. Go do something else. But if the rules have been established and you don't agree with the rules, well, you got one of two things you can do. Okay? You can try to improve the rules by going in a very respectful, positive aspect to change it, especially if you really have a strong commitment that it's wrong. Then do something to try and change it, or go do something else.
That's right.
You got a choice.
As a consumer, are we we're consuming that more and more. So are we driving it to
100%?
Although I don't think I'm buying more lures and stuff because of those videos.
No, but you're clicking on more of them.
That's right. And those clicks turn into dollars.
Are you benefiting from those clicks? No, you're just like, ooh, ooh, he said what? Ooh, he did what?
That's right.
Ooh, they fined him how much?
Right.
You know, but it's not just fishing. It's that way in everything.
In
you know, what happens?
Sure.
What happens when there's a brawl in the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're an NBA fan or not. What do you want to see? Well, everybody's talking about it, so you want to see what happened.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing in this. When something happens in the industry that is controversial, that is, something that is out of the norm, well, the fans want to see it. But at the same time, there needs to be an aspect of this sport that needs to be a journalistic approach rather than a sensationalistic approach. I mean, you guys tell me, what do you want? Do you want to look at all the dirt, or do you want to look at it?
I want to learn. I'm new to fishing, only 15 years. I'm almost 44 years old here in another month. And I only known that professional fishing has been a thing for 15 years. I found BTL in COVID on YouTube. I didn't really know YouTube was like a fishing mecca, right? And I came across it we were in lockdown and just got on there and it popped up, and I've been hooked since. But I watch Bass Live. I want to learn like why they're fishing, where they're fishing, what lure, like you said, we don't hear about that anymore because they're all throwing the minnow. And but yeah, I'm like, why are you throwing it there? What I would like to know those things, like what made you choose this is where you were going to fish today, and stuff like that. So
but it seems like, at least for what I perused the last couple of days, that people aren't interested in that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Jim, am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the networks maybe, or the, who's ever broadcasting one of the shows, I think they, should focus more on the learning part instead of just, showing a lot more of the, what happened, the drama on the water. A lot of people want to see that, but a lot more people, I think, want to learn what they're doing, but it's a little more difficult to show that if they're looking at a screen all the time.
Yeah, you're right. What's in the last month, what's the most positive thing that's come out of professional fishing?
I have no idea.
No,
quite honestly, from what I looked at over the last couple of days that I looked at, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I'm drawing
it's a great point.
There's got to be something out there, but you're right. All you see is the fights and the arguments of this and that.
Yeah, now they're supposed to have a private meeting with all the elite anglers. How is that going to go? Are they going to let the media in? Is it going to be private?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. I can go way back. I think it was 2003. Could be wrong, but I think the year that Iaconelli was Angler of the Year, I think was 2003. There was a meeting at Table Rock Lake, and that is kind of the first group meeting that happened with the PAA, the Professional Anglers Association. And they were actually, I felt like, because I actually sat in on that meeting, they were actually going in the right direction to have that relationship between the anglers and, at that time, the single organization. And there was always some type of representation until the ESPN days. But in the prior days, there were people that I wouldn't say influenced, but they at least carried the voice for the anglers to the organization. When the PAA solely just kind of evolved and crumbled, and then obviously, I mean, the the obvious situation was when you had the break between Bass and MLF was formed and all that. I mean, anything and everything kind of went out the window, but any business that I have seen, any organization, any athletic team, the communication that takes place between the entity that is part of it and the entity that oversees it, you have to have that present. All right. Now, the entity that takes part in it may not get their way 0% of the time, but at least they are communicating and they understand the viewpoint of the organization. I think where, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, when organizations and teams and businesses get in trouble is when the communication doesn't exist, because you have the fear of the unknown. You just don't know. And then you throw in speculation, and then you got people saying this and people saying this, and they have no basis on what they're saying, but they're very influential because of all the following that they have. The greatest thing that could happen in this sport is if you truly had the anglers and the organization sit down, truly sit down, no tournament taking place, nothing, and get things lined out to where it is the best thing for the four elements that are involved in this game: the anglers, the organizations, the fans, and the sponsors. Because ultimately this game doesn't exist at a professional level if it's not for those four people.
Yeah, 100%.
So why hasn't that summit ever taken place? It's never happened. Now,
Well,
I know for a fact that there have been meetings with one individual or two individuals during or prior to an event. That's not what I'm talking about. Guys, when the season's not taking place, you guys need to get thrown in a conference room. You need to take a week out of your hunting or your other busy life and get this thing dialed in to where all four entities are dialed in on the same page.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done this sooner, because this is their job. And in order to run a good ship, everybody has to communicate somehow, talk together, group together, vote on it, and then once it gets voted on, stick to it for the whole season. If they want to change something, then they should change it in the off season and then come up with that rule in the off season and obey by that. So it is good that they're going to get together and they got to talk. Even if they argue, they're talking, but not talking is not good.
The unknown.
I think it's probably that way across most businesses. Like, you have the upper echelon, the owners, the CEOs of companies aren't really working and talking a lot with the ground level folks to bridge that gap. I'm up here, I know exactly what needs to go on. They're down here, they don't know what's going on, but they're the ones that actually have to deal with the decisions that are made.
Yeah.
And you can probably learn the most by having that communication and that discussion.
Somebody mentioned unions. I'm not talking about unionizing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the functionality between the four elements that are going to make this game better, not grow it. Okay. I'm not saying that. You have to make the element that exists better. And I think that's one of the first steps of getting it done.
Sure. They can even have like just like a secret ballot of like voting, like top 10 questions of something, what bothers them, what they think, they should put input, and just to start the conversation.
Yeah. Mark, would the anglers be able to speak freely? I mean, are they worried about what their peers what side they're on with something that they might bring up that is personal to them, but you know what I mean?
There's one word that is going to be a challenge, and that word is trust. All right? And I'm talking about all parties involved. And I can see it. I saw it when I was there. All four of those entities have to trust each other. And with the division that has taken place, and there's no reason to even get into that, but with the division that has taken place, it doesn't matter. You still have to have that scenario for both organizations to be the best that they can be. And that's what they should strive to do. Now, the biggest factor that you got in that is both organizations are being driven by money.
And
that's it.
The tour is trying to get the same money that the anglers are also going after. And so you're almost fighting against each other right off the bat, right?
But if you have, I truly believe.
Yeah, but collectively, if we're all on the same page, how much better can we be?
Exactly.
Boom.
And you have that summit, and you bring everybody in. You bring, if you're an angler and you want to take part of this, boom, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this summit, and you spend a week together where nobody is focused on their fishing. Nobody is focused on their hunting. They are totally focused on making this organization and this opportunity better.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's an enormous challenge for somebody to sit down. And here is the other parallel that I think people don't understand. To sit down and have to write a check for whatever it is now, $55,000, $58,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
To have an opportunity. Do you know how much $55,000 would do if you compound that, just averaging, say, 5% over the next 15 years? You're going to have a huge chunk of money, and you're never going to make a cast. But you go out there and you try and you try and you invest and you try, and sometimes you just don't. You just don't make it. So you've got to create a situation that gives that opportunity for people to at least try, but gives the opportunity, the best opportunity to be successful. And the lack of communication and not all four of those elements being on the same page is what I believe is really not getting over that hurdle to truly make the game better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got to have some regulations in there too. You know, how many units or how many transducers are on the boats, because everybody has regulations. And, just to have, 5 or 6, even 10, that's not a lot, kind of much.
Becomes a slippery slope because one of the people at that table is those electronic companies that are like, no, we want
more sales.
We want all that on there because we want more people buying more. And it is a slippery slope because do we go back to 16-foot boats and 90 horsepower motors? And
the PAA was not a union. All right. Were there dues? Yes. All right. Were there obligations? Yes. But it was not classified and sold as a union. It was a, what was the term? I remember Mark Davis said it, and I can't remember how he put it. It was a community. I think he said it was a community of one. I think is the term that where everybody, the entire organization was acting as one for the best interest in being a professional angler.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but I still say, man, bring everybody in, put them in the conference room for a week and get it knocked out.
It can't make it worse.
Gotta get something positive out of it. A couple of positive things. It's great. They made progress. And then next year they can do it again if they want.
Yeah. You can't have these events, and it has been tried over history to have meetings. You can't do it during ICAST. You can't do it during the Classic. You can't do it during an event. It needs to be the summit.
That's right.
An entire week where things get laid out. The anglers have their say, the sponsors have their say, and the organization has their say.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
I'm looking at the comments.
I did see that they said Carl Jacobson picking up trash. He does that maybe multiple times a year, but
yeah,
where he does that was one of the positive things. And it seems like there's a lot of positive things coming out of the NPFL.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're doing differently over there, but it seems like maybe they are having some of those conversations. And
somebody just won $100,000. I ran across that today. I don't know who it was. I don't remember.
No, but I think good job. Yeah, NPFL does a really good job, and that's more of a family kind of deal. They're very tight.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of promoting their anglers. They do community service. Every time they go to a town, they promote a lot of the restaurants in the area to give back to the community.
Yeah. That's a good connection, right?
Hey, this is a really good point. I totally forgot about this. One of the most positive things is Panger winning St. Jude's, but and I don't know if he wants me to say this or anything, but his involvement in the charity work that Matt has done with St. Jude's is unbelievable. And he actually helped, and I'm not going to say who it is, but there's actually an angler who was experiencing some health challenges with one of their children, and Matt made contact, and everything is being taken care of by St. Jude's. And, that's something Matt didn't have to do that, but that's just kind of how Matt rolls. And what Matt did to help out that angler was extremely impressive. And I know Matt, he catches a lot of stuff because, let's face it, I'll be the first one to tell him in his face that he's not catching them. But at least he's trying, and to balance and do what he is doing, it is an extreme challenge to try and be successful. Believe me, we've had multiple late night conversations about what he's trying to accomplish. But that, once again, that word comes up, and it's choice, and you have a choice. And I think that if people out there did not have a choice, then that's when it even gets a zillion times worse.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
He also raised a ton of money too. That's the other thing. So, I mean, I'm not just tooting Matt's horn because he is a dear friend of mine, but quite honestly, that is one of the coolest things that I'm aware of. And once again, I'm irrelevant. Sure. I'm not relevant anymore, but
Matt, he does a really good job. He really asks some really good questions to the guests.
Mm-hmm.
He's very on point. He keeps the show straight in line. We kind of,
he doesn't really make it controversial either. No. He is stuck to the protocol of being and approaching it as a journalist.
Yep.
And obviously the conversations that have taken place.
Journalists now all have a point that they're trying to get across in something.
A lot of these,
but he does a really good job.
I'm proud of him.
Yeah,
I am.
I think a lot of these other shows, a lot of these other podcasts, they go on he said, she said kind of stuff, but Matt doesn't do that. He gets the facts first, sticks to them, and he corrects people that try to throw that in there. He stops them right away. He says, basically, no, we're not going to do that. We stick to the facts here.
Yeah. Well, he did learn one thing from me, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I told him, and the other thing is, a lot of people don't realize, man, when we did the show, we showed up, we had no pre-production meeting, we had nothing. Everything was off the cuff, kind of like tonight. I mean, I don't have any notes in front of me. I got nothing. I'm sitting here just talking about a game that I love. And I appreciate you two guys testing this out. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I want to do this. I don't know. I got it set up now. The place is it's looking good and things are working. So we'll see. At least I didn't have my headbanging music going that he makes fun of all the time. I don't have that set up yet. So
hey, I'm with you on that. I'm from the 80s as well.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was funny. I watched a video of Angus Young, AC/DC Hit the Road, but it's just Brian Johnson and Angus, nobody else from the second tier of the band from the 80s when after Bon Scott died, and then they came with Back in Black in 1980.
Yeah.
But man, they're like 70 years old.
Oh yeah.
And he's still wearing the schoolboy suspenders and shorts.
A lot of the guys from the 80s, they're in their 70s now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Rob Halford. I just saw Rob Halford turn like 71.
Yeah. Yeah. And just the other day, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden turned 69. Amazing.
Wow. All right. One last question for you, Jim. When you bass fish in Colorado, what's it like? Where do you go? I thought it was just trout fishing.
So I'm originally from the Chicagoland Midwest area, kind of like Illinois and Wisconsin border. And that fishing over there is more like flipping, frogging, you know, kind of stuff like that, heavy line.
Yeah.
Well, I moved out here in Colorado with my wife and kids just to basically retire. And everything out here is all like 4-pound tests, 6-pound tests. I had no clue on how to use it.
What part of Colorado are you at? Where are you?
I'm in Littleton right now.
Okay, I graduated from Highlands Ranch High School.
Oh, okay.
So
yep.
Right down the street from Littleton.
Yep, right there. So, you know, it's a lot of finesse, small baits like Ned rigs, small little minnow stuff. And I didn't catch anything for the first year and a half I was here. I was entering these tournaments here right away, and I was getting smoked. And then I just started figuring it out. And then I was able to progressively get better. And now I'm looking for more things to try to mix the two, the finesse game and the heavy flipping stick bite game. So, you know, I'm progressively getting there. I'm pretty happy at where I'm at. You know, I've gotten seconds, or I've gotten thirds, fifth, and sevenths now.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I'm real happy about that.
Cool.
Nice. So where's your favorite place to fish in Texas, Bob?
Sam Rayburn.
Okay.
I can always catch something there, and that's because I was in Louisiana. It was only 2 hours to there.
Yeah.
I'd pass Toledo Bend because I could zero on Toledo Bend.
Yeah.
It went through a bad stretch there, but we're Sam Rayburn. You can always at least catch a spotted bass. You'll pull up on a point and there'll be a bunch of spotted bass. They might only be 10, 12 inches, but you're going to catch them.
Okay, I got to ask. Did you go gator hunting in Louisiana?
No, but we have hooked some on some frogs at night.
I've done that.
Really?
I've done that. Yeah,
Yep.
I've done that too.
That's cool.
But no, I never actually went. No. Shoot them, Elizabeth. Shoot them.
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
You never
I didn't
did
get into that, no.
All right. Have you seen gators at Toledo Bend?
Yes, Toledo
Yeah,
Bend.
they're
They're on
there.
Sam Rayburn, too.
Are they really?
Yes, big ones on Sam Rayburn I've seen. Probably the biggest one I've ever seen was on Sam Rayburn.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Mhm.
Harold Allen never told me that.
Yep.
And he told me there were gators at Toledo Bend, but
Yeah, just about every body of water in Louisiana has them.
yeah.
But yeah, they're Sam Rayburn and southeast Texas. Those bodies of water down there have a lot of gators and stuff as well.
Really?
So, yeah.
Didn't know Texas had gators.
Yeah, there's I don't know the name of the park. Gator Park, maybe, is my parents go there and the ponds are just swimming with gators. They ride their bikes 3 feet from them while they're laying up in the sun on the bank, you know, right along the cart path right there. And they're just riding their bikes by and they take pictures and send them to me, you know, and they're retired just traveling around in their RV and going to different parks. But yeah, Ton of gators over there.
Okay, here, Bob. Bob, you got to say this, okay?
Yep.
But wait, that's not all.
But wait, that's not all.
There you go, man. You got to start doing voiceovers for infomercials right there.
Let's go.
The amazing Ginsu knife right there,
right.
and the bamboo steamer.
That's right. You order this, we'll throw in 14 more knives and a samurai sword.
Oh, you got it, man. You got
Let's
the voice.
You got the voice shirt on already.
Yeah, it is. I'm not kidding. It's way past my bedtime, and you guys have made my evening. I don't know if I need to do this or not. You guys tell me. I'm not going to do it if you're not going to enjoy it, but I like freelancing. I like just talking about whatever. And I greatly appreciate you guys clicking on the link, and everybody else, man. The comments and the instant feedback have been great.
When you asked, should we do this? I mean, the comments lit up and you weren't looking at it, but it was an overwhelming. Heck yes, let's do it. Once a month is great. You know, I think that was
yeah.
I mean, it just lit up. So,
all right. Last question I'm going to ask both you two, and I want to see it on the instant feedback. If you listen to what I said earlier, I just want to know, am I right? Do you tend to agree with the assessment that I have gotten over the last couple of days, just kind of perusing stuff? And, you know, I we'll see if I do this again. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think? What do you think, Jim?
Once a month?
Once a month? Do you agree with kind of my assessment of everything? Am I kind of?
I think so.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right on everything. You know, I don't think you were far-fetched on really anything. I think what you said, and you know how things need to be addressed, and you know how the sport is going. You know, it's sad to see, but I think it's just peaking right now. And once it, flattens out, with the live scope and everything, people are going to come around. They're going to be all right, because they're going to use that just as a tool.
Yeah.
People are going to fish like a Lee Levacy. He's going to fish the way he fishes, but he's going to use that thing to his advantage, the same way everybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I know you want to say that you're not connected, but you're plenty well connected, and you're spot on with. And watching these last couple of weeks of podcasts and shows, everyone, it's like everyone is like beat up, like we're like ready for the season to, like we've been drugged through the mud and we're ready to just hang it up and move on to something else. I mean, it's just like, I'm not connected enough to really have any advice, but I do think what you're saying is sit down, have man-to-man, man-to-woman conversations face-to-face.
Yeah.
Is going to move it in the right direction.
Hey, there's 4 elements to this thing: the organizations, the anglers, the fans, and the sponsors. And if you work toward doing the best for all 4 of those, this sport is going to get better. And that's what needs to happen. But it's a challenge, and it doesn't matter what you do, guys. Anything that is worth getting to the point that you're trying to reach, it's a challenge. And this college bowling thing, it's not easy. It is a challenge. And some of the challenges that I've had, recruiting wise, and some of the things, you can there's 2 directions. You can either sit back and go, oh, well, yeah, all right, well, can't do anything about that. Or you step up and you take a swing and you try to make it better. And I just hope that the people that are involved with this, and it doesn't matter what organization, I don't care, step up and do everything you can to make things better and just create a positive environment. The only way you're going to do that is communication is the key. And I hope there was some fly on the wall somewhere, or some person says something that these organizations need to have a summit. That's the only way it's going to get better, because you're never going to get on the same page unless the entities come together and you come to an agreement. Doesn't mean you got to agree with that agreement, but at least you have that communication and you have the influence and the opportunity to make the sport better.
Yep.
All right.
Do the
schedules, all right, guys,
MLF and elites overlap on purpose, or is that just happen that they're fishing some of the same
I think it's
weekends?
both. I think it's both. I think it's, there is, dude, it's like anything else. I mean, they're battling for money. They're battling for sponsorship money. They're battling for fans. They're battling for anglers. And, I know that there are people in that organization that a lot of people dislike. In fact, it's, you hear the hate word quite a bit, despise, whatever it is. And are there some challenges there? Absolutely. But there has been an enormous amount of time and effort and money invested in trying to do things that, quite frankly, I don't think some of the things turned out the way that they thought they were going to turn out. Are there challenges there? Absolutely. Are there things that need to be corrected? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So is it going to play out? I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. Right. Who knows? But for the angler's sake, I hope either organization that they do truly, hopefully come together and get all the issues worked out instead of having that void and that unknown. Yep. All right? Because there are definitely things on both sides of the organization, and I don't even know what they are. I just know for a fact it's this way that has to be overcome. Mm-hmm. And things have to be done to make the sport better and make the organizations better, make the anglers better. I hope that happens. I really do.
Me too.
So
I'm a fan of
they invite you, would you go?
Yeah.
You're the moderator?
Yeah.
I absolutely.
Let's do it.
I think that'd be a good idea.
That it's not going to come from me, but would I do it? Absolutely, because of my love for the game.
Absolutely.
And that was the whole reason that I got into it to begin with. I mean, did I see an opportunity? Yes. Did I do things that made life for me good? Yeah. But I don't think a lot of people realized exactly what I did and what I went through to get to that point. Now, I mean, shoot, my grandkid in my daughter-in-law's belly could have a podcast right now if he wanted one. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So, it is driven by what you want to make out of it, right? And how you want to create a situation that's going to make the game better. All right. Do I agree that there has to be a balance there? Because everybody's got to be profitable. You got to make money. Mm-hmm. And
they're there for it.
Everybody's got to realize that, including the anglers. Both organizations have got to make money, but they have to be transparent in what they do. And the only way you become transparent is by coming together and having everybody on the same page and working out through all the issues and dissension and hate and dissatisfied, subject, whatever it is, you got to work it out. You may not agree with it, but you got to try and work it out. So we'll see.
You think that's a 10-year, 10 meetings, one a year to get to that, to where, because the trust between each other, I think, is so far apart right now that it's not going to get done in the first sit.
No, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. You got to get it started.
And this is something, I saw this back in the 80s with the Professional Bowlers Association. I mean, they had some issues and they went through some enormous challenges. But what took place there is they created a players committee. They had really, really good representation that the players appointed to represent them. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 guys. I mean, there were like 12 guys that represented the tour players, and they got a ton of stuff worked out. But a lot of it was just lack of communication and not understanding why certain things are being done. And some people may stand back and go, hey, look, this is my company. I don't have to tell you squat. Well, quite honestly, yeah, they got a point. But you know what? In order for you to be a better company and improve your profitability, you better take care of your customers. And in this case, the anglers are their customers.
There you go.
100%.
Agree?
Yep.
100%.
So, we'll see. But hey, if you guys want me to push the button, just, I don't know. So I still got the same email address. You can post comments anywhere you want. I don't care. I mean, but I just, I enjoy still doing this every now and then. And we'll see if it's something that I'm going to consider. But I am set up in the new digs. I'm excited. I actually do a bowling podcast when, it's when the season is taking place. It starts in October, and we do it once a week. It's another coach.
When does the season end?
The season ends in March.
Oh,
it's
so
just like basketball.
You might not be able to make the Classic in Fort Worth next year. You'll probably be.
Yeah, we may be in Fort Worth that weekend. A
awesome.
lot of our conference stuff is in Fort Worth. So I haven't looked at what the date, but the schedule for our conference events has not come out yet. Yeah. But it was neat. There was a couple of people that actually came out and watched us. There were a couple of guys that came out to the Fort Worth event, and then there were a guy and his wife came to the event that we had in Kansas City.
Where's the Fort Worth event at?
City View Lanes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll get on the schedule
and
check it out.
How many lanes do they have?
Do what?
How many lanes do they have?
City View has 60.
60.
Yeah, that's where we have. They have sectionals at City View also.
Wow.
So
I do have one question about bowling.
Yeah.
You said 36 games in 2 days?
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, is that like from 8 in till midnight? Like
no,
nonstop bowling? I mean,
you may bowl 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon, then 8 the next day, then 12 in the afternoon. I mean, it just depends on what the format is. But I'm feeling it.
You've got to build some stamina to get into that.
I am not at the point physically. I mean, I've lost a little bit of weight, but I'm still challenged with my back. I mean, you should see what my back looks like when I go bowl now. Even when I practice, I mean, it looks like a giant Band-Aid. I've got K-tape and patches and, ibuprofen is my friend. And it's quite the ordeal, but I still love it. And it's a great way to stay connected with the kids because when they see me have success, there's just a little bit of more trust that I know what the heck I'm talking about. So that's why I ask a lot of questions and not telling them what to do. I don't ball rap. All right. This is like way, way beyond what I thought. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for doing that. Everybody else out there that watched this test, I greatly appreciate you listening to me talk and discuss things. And, here over the next couple of months, I've got a big month of recruiting in July, but over the next few weeks, I'm going to try and continue to get caught up a little bit. Matt, obviously, he can fill me in a little bit and talk to a couple of my old friends that are out there on tour and see what their take is. But please continue to tune in to BTL. Matt doing an outstanding job.
Yep.
And continue to push a lot of positive stuff his way. As I know he's got some stuff in the works too that's going to be really cool that he's going to roll out next year. And we'll see if I do this more often, but it's been very cool and I'm still wired up. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. Now I'm probably going to fall asleep on the couch. So everybody out there, please, feel free to email me anytime, mark@basshone.com. And you guys go catch them. I'm going back to Texoma next week.
Good luck.
All right. You guys take care.
Good luck, bud. Thank you.
All right, that's it. I'm out of here, everybody. Good night.